Audio, audio, audio. Good, good, good. Alright, guys, welcome to the World Star Battle Tournament 2. Day 2, these are the playoffs. This is the round of 16. We are just jumping in to catch Game 2 of Prejudice, an NA team versus MIT, one of our Korean teams. This game is on the NA server. The first one was on the Korean server. And with me, I have co-casting Bozo Cat. And XSplit's doing it again! No! XSplit, what are you doing? I don't know why it's doing that.
So we are a radio style cast?
We are a radio style cast. I think we can manage that, but for the camera's sake, I'm going to give the camera to you, Bozo, while I tab out and deal with this. But for the moment, guys, this is old school Star Battle. Radio style.
DP coming up fairly cautiously, letting the farm scout out for them. We've got, on the Made in Taiwan side, we've got double carrier Destro in the center with an Overlord running support for them. On the outside, we have double Levy. Meanwhile, on the DP side, we have a much more standard double Guardian comp with a Destro, supported by an Arbiter who has opened with Storm 275 energy, also double Levy on the outside. So this is basically a mirror match, where you've got a pushy center with a support versus a pushy center with a support. Both of the DP Guardians are 5 spines, which pretty hard counters the 6 interceptor carriers that are working together in the center for Made in Taiwan, so the early advantage is for DP. However, they're not capitalizing on that advantage, and as such, they are being pushed back. Carriers are launching the outsides to avoid the spines of the Guardians in the center. DP center is not as well coordinated as MIT's center. Now they're starting to group up and really push, but the Plague is already starting to take Maw down. He's 5,800 out of 8,000 and dropping slowly. Looking at the farm scores, we've got 483 for DP versus 479 for MIT. That's basically a dead heat.
And I have an alternative setup, Bozo. We're almost there.
Excellent. That's good to hear. I will keep shoutcasting until you've got it up. Quatarist has now taken a lot of Spore and a lot of Storm damage. He's down to 4,900 and no shields. Maw has only 3,800, but he's got a full set of shields. So the Destroyers are about equally tanky right now. A shield point on a Destroyer is worth about half a hull point on a Destroyer. Given the way that weapons come out. It depends a little bit on the composition. In this case, because it's such a heavy launch comp and there's so few missiles, hull is actually even more valuable and shield is less valuable. Laptop Panda gets a little bit out of position. His spines get aggroed by the Destroyer, and there's launch pushing on him, but they break off and don't try to maximize DPS. Guardians clean it up in the center.
And we are back in business, by the way, Bozo. So I have an alternative, so we are now a visual stream again.
Excellent. I will start typing stuff out.
I think you've been doing an excellent job, though, so by all means, keep up with the commentary. So we've got, again, a bit of a push, again, on Laptop Panda. Laptop Panda is basically the popular target here. He should be pulling back behind Tough, who can be doing some of the tanking of the lasers from Anson. And Laptop Panda should take advantage of the fact he's a Guardian, he can regenerate, and make himself a little bit less of a tasty target for launching. Akai is ready to do a Plague and will probably be positioning to do that soon. Warp in by Maw on OSB. Shabai, my goodness. On OSB. They're pushing on Shabai right now. Going into the
nice
orange.
Push. Even if it doesn't kill, it's going to give them map control.
Yeah. And beautiful little convergence here. Tough should have actually kept in with the ball to do 1 or 2 more volleys of damage, but that was a nice convergence by Prejudice. And now MIT is pulling back. Xiaoyi is a little bit off to the side, but full health and not really in much danger. Tough got hit by a Plague. I believe he was the only ship hit by that Plague. And Shabai gets a Storm to the face.
A lot of farm off the top, but Danny's just cleaning it all up bit by bit.
Yep. And Shabai had taken a Storm to the face, is now in the orange, going to consider going back and upgrading, or just healing in general. Prejudice is clumping a bit on the bottom of the map, but they're trying to stay away from Xiaoyi because he's of a threat of a warp trick, but it looks like MIT is not going to be going that route. Some of them are walking out. Nope, never mind. They are warping. And do Prejudice, they may think that they're safe, but here comes the warp in. Nice storm on the ball. Carriers warping in. Bozo's going to give us the typed up upgrades, but really quick, carriers both went interceptors. Kataris went for bots. Xiaoyi is taking point as quite an OP levy at this point. Already at 8 missiles and 9 range. Big push here against Do Prejudice against OSB, because OSB will be the late game heavy damage dealer for Do Prejudice. Gone into the red and a plague, but looks like he'll be able to make it alright. He's past the towers at this point. Down sub 1,000 health, 400 health, 200, 100, and died just close to the command center. Do Prejudice cannot be happy about that right now. That was close, guys. Just caught the tail end of that. So now Do Prejudice trying to make a trade. They're pushing on the destroyer, but not able to get a kill. Checking out the score, 5-6 now. Do Prejudice losing their Leviathan by such a small amount. Safety was in sight and healing, but not going to happen. Did you see that too, Bozo?
I was actually busy clicking through the upgrade, so I missed the action.
That's okay.
That's why we have 2 casters.
Let's make 2 casters. That's why the stream's going to come later. We're going to have an awesome stream later. You guys can watch it over and over again. Well, Do Prejudice may not do that, but...
Instant replay.
Yes. Well, actually, instant replay. 8 minutes. Tune in, folks. So, Do Prejudice reeling from losing one of their Leviathans. Danny is still around, though. Did not have as much farm as OSB. No, actually does have more farm than OSB, so the weaker Leviathan was lost. That's not too bad. Bit of launch here against Danny. Bit of an interesting spread. Maw's on the outside as a Destro trying to farm it up. No real fighting in the center. It's more of a long-range launches from the 2 carriers. Shabai is warping back, going to go get probably rapid regen. IKK has not gotten any lasers, is vulnerable to launches, does have Storm. Laptop Panda went for Scourge and Anabolic. So Do Prejudice's comp was a bit adaptable. They only lost one of the 2 Leviathans, but it does really hurt because they lose Leviathans, which are quite nice and good for cleaning up launches and just in general doing tons of damage. Leviathans are OP. That's why they show up so often in this tournament. Danny now in the orange, waiting for the energy and the cooldown and rapid regen. And basically a bit of a stalemate. Laptop Panda using Scourge.
I wanted to take a moment to comment on the very interesting choice by DP to go double Scourge instead of getting Spines, which is traditional when you're facing a double carrier center. They're basically saying, I don't think those carriers have enough farm to matter, and we need to kill and containment badly now to catch back up. If they hadn't lost a ship, I would say that's a terrible decision. Do what the hard counter is. But in this case, where they're already behind, yeah, take the risk. Why not?
I don't think they're capitalizing that risk. They're not doing double Scourges. These carriers have they're banking about 300 to 400 minerals each.
Laptop keeps firing and canceling. I wonder if he keeps losing vision.
That could be very possible. And actually, let's just take a look. Yeah, looks like that's the case. Just fired, managed to get some vision on Shabai.
Helpful Guardian trick for those who hate losing vision on your Scourge. Put a point or 2 in your Broodling Strike. The Broodlings will live long enough to give you vision. Right-click your enemy and then immediately Scourge them, and the Broodling's death vision will give you enough time to get your Scourge off.
Yep, and Bozo, you're definitely a Guardian player, and I am not a Guardian player, so everyone, don't listen to me. Poor Guardian stuff. Bozo, switching to your cam for 1 sec.
Okay. We've got sort of gentle up and back. The MIT is not pushing their advantage terribly hard, and I would assume that that's because they know they're winning. They're just waiting for their comp to slowly grind down their opponents. Meanwhile, there's a sort of a ticking clock over DP that... Uh-oh, Tuff's caught on the bottom lane. Gonna zoom in on this. 1 one of the fearsome things about MIT is that their coordination is very, very, very good. So it's dangerous to get caught out of position by them. They tend to all go for somebody when a mistake is made. However, in this case, there was enough AoE damage, and Maw presented enough of a threat that they didn't want to commit to that, which is perfectly reasonable. They are ahead. There's no reason for them to do that. And every time a team converges to defend a positioning mistake like that, they generally slide back by 10 or so range. So it's still a win for your team if you go for it and don't make the kill.
And I am back. Launch here on Danny at the top, 3-ship launch. And we've got the 12 ints and the 11 ints on the carriers. Danny's forced to devote more into tents at this point. IKK looking for ways to spend that energy. Acid spray by Xiaoyi now, so that's the counter for Scourge. And a bit of a staggered launch on the Leviathan again. And as Bozo types out some of those things, I'll show you the farm score. Here's the farming board. 1374 farm for Do Prejudice and 1580 farm for MIT. So not too bad right now. Shabai's warped in on the carrier. Anson going back to the bottom lane, taking it over again, launching Mutas to clean it up. That's actually a good little trick. You do a little launch to help bring farm towards you so you don't lose any.
We're now seeing one of the big weaknesses of DP's composition. They have no energy denial, and so you can see the Scourge is just getting AoE down, blocked by the defensive shield and so forth. That would have been a certain kill if they'd been able to deny the energy of their opponents during that push. But there's zero energy denial on the DP composition.
And then this is what I saw actually happen in Intruder versus 7th Fleet. Intruder got stuck without any energy deny, and there was a Raven that was just having fun with the imping without any counter. And then the second game they did have 2 BCs, but then the 2 BCs died relatively early on. Ooh, acid spray on both the Guardians. Make them a little more vulnerable to launches. Neither of them has any armor upgrades right now. Or actually, Tough does have one.
I just wanted to point out the excellent acid spray unit usage by both Shy Bai and Xiaoyi. They're doing a great job of it. I think I'm pronouncing Xiaoyi correctly. He tried to explain to us on TeamSpeak how to pronounce it, but I lost a lot of the subtleties.
Well, we do our best. That's all we can ask for. I've had some really interesting times pronouncing people's names. Makes them more memorable. So launch here again on Danny. Danny's going to have to start thinking about getting acid spray. Push here on Tough.
In the center?
Yep.
Are they going to commit on us? Nope.
Nope. There he's already at the towers. Already at the towers, and DP's already upgraded, pushing out again. Maw's now got bots, level 9 lasers, trying to counteract those launches. Laptop Panda looks like they're devoting... sort of dividing their install costs. And they have Corrosive Acid and Parasite and level 11 Spines on Laptop. IKK has gotten Force Fields, as you can see, and also the Crystal. But Xiaoyi does have 253, possibly saving up. Either may not have had a chance to constant mutate, but can do so now, or saving up for a Frenzy. Already with 14 Bile, that would be quite painful if anyone got within range. Danny forced to go back now. Pushed hard by Xiaoyi. DP pushing back on Shabai at the bottom. Now MIT is saying, okay, you know guys, we're pretty farmed up, let's go back and upgrade. Yep, I think they're waiting for that ideal parasite target. Who do you think that's going to be? The Overlord? Carrier?
I think they're just waiting for an opportunity at this point. They have a very commanding farm lead, and there's sort of two very different threats that have to be countered. The Interceptors, which have to be countered by Spines, and the Bile on both sides of the map, which means IKK is going to be running up and back like a jackrabbit trying to get both. Meanwhile, they have themselves completely countered the damage output from the Scourge. So they're in a very good position to just sit here and get big and then do something nasty later. Probably going to look like a Vortex double Frenzy, I'm guessing.
Yep, they certainly have the levies to do it, and the carriers do have enough to go into the both in vortex if they want. But I think Do Prejudice didn't push the advantage of Scourge when they initially had it, and the carriers weren't upgraded, etc. MIT hadn't upgraded, and Do Prejudice had the Scourge. They really need to press the advantage during that maybe 2-minute window. And right now we're just seeing that even as he staggered launches here, then Shabai was just cleaning him up with his tents. IKK helping out Danny with force fields against Xiaoyi. Danny does have Frenzy at this point and can use it, but has to make the choice of whether using the Rock or the Regen or the Frenzy.
Yeah, Danny could use a little more energy before going into this Frenzy, but I understand that when you're behind, you really want to prioritize your offense so you can try to turn it around.
Yep. Good timing of Protective Field and 2 sprays by Shabai basically counteracts the Scourge. And again, Do Prejudice is staggering the Scourge. Now, they could be just draining the energy of the Leviathans, but it does mean, though, that they're not actually doing damage directly. And timing Laptop Hand should be doing a Scourge right then. Nope, not going to happen. They're not quick.
He's instead going for Shy By. Oh, but with the Corrosive, that's not optimal.
Yep. You want to time your Scourges together so they do all the damage, and also they can't be all countered at the same time. It's a bit of an art, timing it. It's like timing a launch.
The only problem is if you are collinear and you time your Scourges together, then one AoE can take out both Scourge volleys.
Yep. That's practice.
You synchro Scourge when you have a wide angle between you, and you stagger Scourge when you're together.
And hopefully don't go up against someone who has a direct counter to Scourge. That also helps too. Like a Destra. They do have a protective field, but if you go up against Leviathan, they can just acid spray. So now we've got, now they're cycling out for upgrades, MIT. We've got Bombardment now on the Katarist. Akai is going back. We'll see what they upgrade with. Zero went for Warpin, and that's an interesting way to interface. Going in for Warpin. Anson also going in for Warpin. Level 12 and level 15 interceptors on those two. Katara now has 400 energy, 7 armor, 7 laser, so able to do quite a bit of pushing with protective field, bots, etc. Well on the way to being a good, well-rounded tank. Storm on Katara is going to push him back a bit. Do Prejudice regrouping push back to their towers, regrouping. They need to do some coordinated pushes, because if they just do something random, then MIT is just going to start farming them. And let's take a look at the farm scores. Danny is our top level farmer on Do Prejudice. Top level farmer Xiaoyi and Shabai, the Leviathans, on MIT. 2109 farm for Do Prejudice and 2693 farm for MIT. Slowly gaining more of the farm lead, about 800 right now. 600, 800.
Katara stops to bombard, but it looks like DP just doesn't have enough in the tank to punish him for it.
Yep, the Destra's already now down to hull damage. The the Guardian and the Leviathan were already in the orange and the red. And this does not look good for Do Prejudice here. Sort of with their backs against the wall. And MIT is not, it's not an inexperienced team there. So they know that they have to keep applying the pressure so DP doesn't have a chance to catch their breath. Psy Blast by Akai does 1100 damage per shot. Extra versus biological. The Parasite is on Akai right now. Siege by Ma, going into full defensive mode, now level 11 lasers. Trying to push MIT away from their base, prevent them from getting the idea of sniping a tower. Able to get quite a few shots in, but the team is still healing, pulling back, upgrading. Laptop Panda devoting more into spines, as is Tough. Both actually have Parasite. Parasite is the other Parasite's on Shabai. Ma's using the siege to help clean up those interceptor launches, able to get 1 or 2 shots off, but IKK is busy flying around trying to do everything and be everything. Chrono boosting the Destro. And storming as well. How many upgrades on Chrono Boost? Does not have... Did get some Chrono Boost. No, did not get the Chrono Boost upgrades. It's a 14-second cooldown. Should be investing...
So that's one upgrade.
That's one upgrade. Should be investing into more, especially with the Siege.
So it's 15 seconds duration, 14 seconds cooldown, so he can constantly Chrono Boost Maw so long as he has energy. But he can't Chrono Boost anybody else.
Yeah, true.
The next upgrade will allow him to constantly Chrono Boost 2 people simultaneously.
Which, if it's the Guardian, say, with 15 spines, that would be a pretty good choice. Or the Leviathan. Danny's now starting to get... Now it's a 10 range, 13 bile, 11 tense. Starting to catch up, but Xiaoyi... Almost actually even with Xiaoyi. A little bit more bile. Xiaoyi's is also at 10 range. So the farm lead is widening, almost 1,000 farm lead now for MIT. This is the part in the Star Battle where it's difficult, because when you have such a big farm lead, even if you have 4 or 5 ships, your back's against the wall, you can't get the farm, the other team just gets fat at your base and will eventually come and kill you. That was actually something interesting from the Storm of the Hearts cast, sort of asking some of the other players what happens when one team goes down. Ion of Storms was an example. There's actually good chances for comeback in that case. Each game is different. It's good to be exposed to new things. So MIT's now pulling back for the upgrades. They are rather rich. 500, 600 more minerals each. And we'll see what they come back with, but it's going to be nasty for Do Prejudice. Do Prejudice taking the advantage of the breather and getting a little bit of farm while they can. They need to heavily prioritize who's going to get these morsels of farm. For the moment, IKK is leading the pack along with Tough.
These Guardians need to either transition to Broodlords or take less farm, because right now they're contributing very little to their team.
Yeah.
And they're taking a lot of farm to do it. MIT upgrades coming up.
Alright, let's see what they go for. And Do Prejudice almost able to get all the way to the towers, but they have to worry about warp tricks. And Xiaoyi looks like just sneaking around the outside. Definitely not in vision range. But the rest of the team is walking out. We now have Vortex on Anson. And a nasty Leviathan. Shabai did not get Frenzy yet. With 450 energy, it's a bit of a wonder. Xiaoyi does have it. Akai going for more... Actually, no, didn't upgrade Psyblast. Upgrading energy in this back. The Qatar's coming out. Much more armor. Much more armor and lasers. Now has the Parasite. And Do Prejudice summarily just retreats and gets pushed back all the way to their towers. And we see a repeat of the same again. And this is just going to hurt unless Do Prejudice can figure out a way out of this. With no energy deny, that's difficult. They can't even deny attacks at this point. Ma's going for more siege.
I just wanted to put in a quick comment on why you should get Frenzy. So Frenzy has a 1-minute cooldown, and I believe it's 20-second duration. Let me verify that. 15-second duration. So it's up a quarter of the time. Let's look at Shai's bile up. He's doing 120. That would be doubled to 240. That's like getting 48 bile upgrades. Now, you only have them a quarter of the time, but a quarter of those 48 bile upgrades is still 12 bile upgrades, which costs a lot more than 400. So at this point, he should have Frenzy for any reason, unless he was being completely energy denied and couldn't cast it.
But in this case, there is no energy deny. Yeah. There is no energy deny, so there really is no point not to get it. Especially if you have a double Frenzy Levy with attacks. That's pretty OP. That's a lot of DPS, and Bozo, I don't know if you have any idea of the numbers, but it's a lot.
So each volley right now is 960. That gets doubled to 1920 when you're under Frenzy. So you're looking at, a strike cannons every 4 seconds. And that's before the tents come in, and the tents actually have even more DPS.
And even more, you don't have to stop. Strike cannons, you definitely have to stop and
That's right.
just
you can
chase them
fling
down.
around with that. There's no escape.
So Maw's protected the top tower. Both towers have taken damage at this various points. But not able, of course, to hit these long-range hitting carriers who can just launch their stuff well out of the range of the Destro. And likewise, Shabai can just kite along the outside near the tower that Maw cannot cover.
So I think the next important move for MIT is they should start thinking about taking that bottom tower out. And they can take it just by launching on it constantly. There's basically nothing that DP can do. They can cloak, but only for so long, and there's always more ints. They can't cloak it long enough for it to heal up. And if they were to pressure that down, that's going to force DP to fall a little bit further back, and then their own tower is going to start denying their farm, which will make this bad economic situation much worse.
Yep. No, I agree. And actually, even Shabai, even a couple of volleys from Shabai would definitely help there. MIT's playing it conservative and biding their time, essentially. And I can't blame them. This is tournament players. They tend to be a little less gung-ho. There is the old phrase, welcome to an A, which is basically just a giant brawl back and forth. It's in tournaments, people play more conservatively because in some cases ship score matters, not for the playoffs, but it's also a matter of pride not putting yourself in a bad position. So it looks like Prejudice is going around for base snipe, or well, not base snipe actually, they don't have any means for it, but going around for a warp trick. Laptop Panda creeping around the outside. Likewise, Xiaoyi is creeping around the outside from the top. It'd be interesting if they had actually encountered each other. Looks like Xiaoyi's going to set himself up as a warp point.
MIT famous for their well-executed and well-coordinated warp tricks. It looks like to me like they're going to do a warp trick to take the tower, which would be smart now that IKK is not in the area. You can see the IKK running towards the center. They're all like, where the hell are these guys? This is suspicious.
They know that they're not on the side with Laptop Panda, or not likely to be. Laptop's not high up enough to know. But it looks like actually, Xiaoyi, they're going for a ship instead, rather than a tower.
Oh, no.
Going for Danny.
7. They've got him.
Yep.
DP has to trade.
Danny is frenzied up, but Xiaoyi is taking some damage, only halfway through, and still will be able to use rapid regen. DP will not be able to force a trade on this. They're nowhere near.
Ouch.
And
it's
they're
particularly harsh because right here in the middle, there's the observer.
Oh, so yes, DP did have some idea of what was going on, and looks like they are going for base snipe.
Well.
They are going for base snipe, going all in because they know that they can't beat them out traditionally. Maw is sieging up. Now, what vision do we have for? Okay, looks like MIT is staying. They now have siege themselves. They don't know the base snipe is happening. Where is IKK for chrono boosting? But they don't see them. Now they're warping back. Now there's a dot vision, so now there's vision on the bottom tower. Laptop Panda went too close to the mothership and gave him vision, but already MIT was warping back. Now,
this was actually, I believe it was DP that the Freelancers did a base snipe to. Freelancer 4 base sniped DP.
Vortex, excellent counter by Anson. No way to deny that. And actually, if there was no Vortex, they may have been able to do enough damage to take that mothership. But good use by Vortex by Anson. And now, of course, Maw is trying to do that last bit of damage to the mothership.
Contaminate.
Yep. And a last stand, a good last stand, but not enough. There goes the E-Shield and the GG from the captain of Prejudice.
That takes us to 1. They're going to a third game. Unfortunately, I believe we have options to cast next round, so we will not be able to give you the final game of this.
Yes. So I think we're gonna be switching over to doing a full series for the next one. We're gonna have to actually run and find out. Bozo, if you wouldn't mind setting us up. Thanks, Bozo, for co-casting and for also taking over when I was doing technical stuff. We will catch you all later.
Sound muted.